So this is the first cross section of the brain. In this cross section we have, this is the superior sagittal sinus. This is also superior sagittal sinus. This between them, this is the falx cerebri. This is the white matter, and this is the gray matter. These two are the central sulcus. This is the central sulcus, and this is the central sulcus. So this is the second section. This is the superior sagittal sinus, falx cerebri, the white matter. This is the corona radiata. This is the corona radiata. So this is the third section. In the third section, this is also the superior sagittal sinus. This here is the inferior sagittal sinus. Okay. This is body of the caudate nucleus. These are the body of the caudate nucleus. Okay. This is the genu of the corpus callosum. Emerging from it is the forceps minor. These are forceps minor. This is genu of the corpus callosum. Here, this is splenium of the corpus callosum. Emerging from it are the forceps major. These are the forceps major. Okay. This is body of the lateral ventricles. This here, this is the choroid plexus. This is the choroid plexus. Okay. If you can focus here, this is the choroid plexus. These are the tapetum fibers. And lastly, this is the septum pellucidum. This is the fourth section. Okay, in the fourth section, we have these structures. We should know about them. This was the superior sagittal sinus. This is inferior sagittal sinus. Okay. Here, this is also genu of the corpus callosum. These are forceps minor fibers. This is splenium of the corpus callosum. These are forceps major fibers. Okay. This is anterior horn of the lateral ventricle. These are posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. Here, this is the choroid plexus, and this is the choroid plexus. Okay. These are the thalami. This is head of the caudate nucleus. This is tail of the caudate nucleus. Here is head of caudate nucleus. This is tail of the caudate nucleus. This collectively is the lentiform nucleus. This is the globus pallidus, and this is the putamen. Together they are known as the lentiform nucleus. The lentiform nucleus is separated from the caudate nucleus by this internal capsule. The internal capsule has the genu. This is genu of the this is genu of the internal capsule. This is posterior limb, and this is anterior limb. This is genu of the internal capsule. This is genu of the corpus callosum, and this is the This is the septum pellucidum, and we shouldn't forget these are the frontal air sinuses. These are the frontal air sinuses. And this is the claustrum. Separating the claustrum from the lentiform nucleus is the external capsule. Okay, this is the gray matter of the insula. This is the fifth section. Okay, this is the superior sagittal sinus. These are the superior sagittal sinus. This is inferior sagittal sinus. These are the frontal air sinuses. Okay, this was the insula. This is the inferior horn of the lateral ventricles. This is the choroid plexus. This is the thalamus. This is crus of fornix. These are crus of fornix. These are column of fornix. Here, this fossa, this is the beginning of the interpeduncular fossa. Okay, this must be the third ventricle. The third ventricle, okay. And lastly, this is the pineal gland. This is the sixth section. Okay, here this is the superior sagittal sinus. Okay, this is the straight sinus. It's no longer the inferior sagittal sinus. This is the straight sinus. Okay, now here we have, this is the internal carotid artery. These are the internal carotid artery. This is the middle cerebral artery. This is anterior cerebral artery. Okay, this is the optic nerve. Here is the optic chiasma, and here this is the optic tract. This is stalk of the pituitary gland. These are the mammillary bodies. Okay, now if this is the vermis. Now here we will talk about the midbrain. In the midbrain, or the mesencephalon, this is the cerebral aqueduct. Okay, the cerebral aqueduct divides the midbrain into a small posterior known as the tectum and anterior known as the peduncle. Now here, this is the cerebral aqueduct. Surrounding it is the periaqueductal gray matter. The cerebral peduncle is further divided into an anterior crus cerebri and posterior tegmentum by this substantia nigra. This is the substantia nigra, crus cerebri, and this is the tegmentum. These two are the red nuclei. And this seahorse-shaped structure, this is the hippocampus. These are the hippocampus, okay? And here is the uncus. And this was the frontal air sinuses. This is the seventh section. Okay, here we have, this is the superior sagittal sinus. This is the straight sinus. Here, these are the sphenoidal air sinuses. And these are the ethmoidal air cells or air sinuses. Now here, because we still have the cerebral aqueduct, so this is still the inferior part of the midbrain. This is the vermis, and this is the expanded part of the, this is the starting of the expanding of the hemispheres. Okay, this is the pontine fossa. This is the basilar artery. Okay. Here, this is the dorsum celli. This is the pituitary gland. These are the cavernous sinus. This is passing through the cavernous sinus is the internal carotid artery, and this is the abducens nerve. Okay, this is the eighth section. In the eighth section, we have, this is the right transverse sinus, and this is the left transverse sinus. This is the vermis, and these are the cerebellar hemispheres. Okay, these are the temporal lobes, and these are the sphenoid air sinuses. These are the ethmoidal air sinuses. This must be the nasal cavity. This group, this is the nasal cavity. Now here, because we no longer have the cerebral aqueduct, and so this is the fourth ventricle, cavity of the fourth ventricle. This is the pons. Okay, this is also the pontine cisternae or pontine fossa. This is the basilar artery. Here, this is the trigeminal nerve. These are the trigeminal nerve. But after this, this is the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve. This is the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve. This is the trigeminal nerve, and this is the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve. This is the ninth plate. In this plate, we have, this is the fourth ventricle. Okay, these are the dentate nuclei. This is the basilar artery. Okay, this here, this is the occipital sinus. These two are the sigmoid sinuses. This is the vestibulocochlear nerve. Okay, these are the cavernous sinus. and these are the sphenoidal ear sinuses. These are the vestibulocochlear nerves, and these are the maxillary division of the trigeminal nerve. This is the 10th section. Okay, here, this is the occipital sinus. These are the sigmoid sinuses. Okay, this is the external auditory meatus or external acoustic meatus. These are sphenoidal ear sinuses. Okay, these two are the maxillary ear sinuses. These are the nasal cavity. Okay, this is the nasal septum. Okay. This is the perpendicular plate of ethmoid. This is the cartilage, nasal cartilage. And lastly, these are the mandibular division of the trigeminal nerve. These are the mandibular divisions of the trigeminal nerve. This is the last section. Okay, this is the internal jugular vein. Now this becomes the internal jugular vein. These are the nasal cavity. These are the maxillary ear sinuses. And these are the internal carotid artery.